A glossy brochure showed happy seniors playing tennis, dining in elegant restaurants, and swimming in sparkling pools. Luxury retirement living, pay once, live worry-free forever. Janet Morrison, 73, received that brochure in the mail in 2007. Her husband had just died. She was living alone in a 4-bedroom house that felt too big and too empty. The brochure promised community, activities, and security. The retirement community was called Sunrise Manor in Scottsdale, Arizona. The model: pay a large entrance fee $185,000 for a 1-bedroom apartment. Then pay monthly fees of $2,400 covering meals, housekeeping, activities, and future healthcare if needed. The entrance fee was 90% refundable when you moved out or died. The entrance fee model works like this. You pay a large upfront fee, typically $100,000 to $500,000 depending on apartment size and location. This fee supposedly buys your right to live there. Then you pay monthly fees covering services. When you leave or die, the community refunds 50% to 90% of the entrance fee to you or your heirs. The model is common in upscale continuing care retirement communities, CCRCs. The entrance fee helps the community finance construction and operations. The monthly fees cover ongoing costs. The partial refund incentivizes people to join since they'll eventually get most of their money back. Sunrise Manor offered a 90% refund. Janet's $185,000 entrance fee meant she or her estate would receive $166,500 when she moved out or died. The community would keep $18,500, a 10% processing fee. This seemed fair to Janet. She was essentially lending the community $185,000 interest-free in exchange for the right to live there, and she'd get $166,500 back eventually. But the contract had a critical flaw. The refund was only guaranteed if the community remained financially solvent. If the company went bankrupt, the entrance fees became unsecured debt. Residents would be last in line behind secured creditors, vendors, and employees. Janet didn't understand this in 2007. The sales materials emphasized the refund percentage. The facility looked financially solid. The parent company, Senior Living Enterprises, operated 47 communities nationwide. They seemed stable and professional. What Janet didn't know: Senior Living Enterprises had borrowed heavily to finance rapid expansion. They'd built 12 new communities between 2004 and 2007, right before the financial crisis. Their debt load was $680 million. Their revenue model depended on continuously filling units with new entrance fee payments to cover operating expenses at existing communities. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, seniors stopped buying into retirement communities. New entrance fee revenue dried up. Senior Living Enterprises couldn't cover their operating expenses or debt service. They started using entrance fees from existing residents to pay operating costs, essentially a Ponzi structure where new money paid for old obligations. By 2010, the company was insolvent. In 2011, they declared bankruptcy. The entrance fees, including Janet's $185,000, were gone, spent on operating losses, debt payments, and executive compensation. The bankruptcy court determined that entrance fees were unsecured liabilities. With $680 million in debt and only $180 million in assets, there was nothing left for entrance fee refunds. Janet and 3,400 other residents across 47 communities lost their entrance fees entirely. The average loss: $167,000 per resident. Total stolen from seniors: approximately $568 million. Janet's personal loss: $185,000 that she'd expected to get back at $166,500. She received $0 in the bankruptcy settlement. Not a penny. But losing the entrance fee wasn't the only problem. The new owners who bought Sunrise Manor out of bankruptcy, a private equity firm called Emerald Senior Living, immediately raised monthly fees to cover the facility's true operating costs. Janet's monthly fee went from $2,400 in 2010 to $3,100 in 2011, then $3,680 in 2012, then $4,200 by 2013. A 75% increase in 3 years. Her budget couldn't absorb this. She was living on Social Security of $1,580 monthly plus withdrawals from her $155,000 in savings. At $4,200 monthly in fees, she was burning through $50,400 annually. Her savings would be exhausted in 3 years. She wanted to leave, but she couldn't afford to. Moving to another facility would require another entrance fee, $150,000 to $200,000 for comparable communities. She'd lost her $185,000 from Sunrise Manor and only had $155,000 in savings. If she spent that on a new entrance fee, she'd have nothing left for monthly expenses. She was trapped. She couldn't afford to stay because of the rising monthly fees. She couldn't afford to leave because she'd lost the entrance fee refund she was counting on, so she stayed and watched her savings evaporate. By 2015, Janet's $155,000 was down to $78,000. She'd been paying approximately $30,000 annually beyond her Social Security income to cover the monthly fees. At this rate, she'd be broke by 2018. Then what? She'd have to apply for Medicaid and move to a Medicaid nursing home. The entire purpose of paying $185,000 up front was to avoid that fate. Emerald Senior Living new residents like Janet were trapped. They knew residents couldn't leave without the refund they'd been promised, so they kept raising fees aggressively. From their perspective, residents had no choice but to pay. By 2017, Janet's monthly fee hit $4,840. Her savings were gone. She applied for Medicaid. She moved to a Medicaid facility in 2018. The luxury apartment at Sunrise Manor that she'd paid $185,000 to secure was given to a new resident who paid a new entrance fee. Janet lived in the Medicaid facility until she died in 2022 at age 88. The last 4 years of her life were spent in a shared room with institutional food and minimal activities, nothing like the luxury she'd paid for and lived in from 2007 to 2017. Her daughter Linda calculated the total cost: entrance fee paid, $185,000 lost entirely in bankruptcy. Monthly fees paid $2,717, approximately $420,000 to $400 for $840 monthly over 11 years. Total paid to Sunrise Manor, $605,000. Amount refunded when she left, $0. Janet paid $605,000 for 11 years of housing that ended with her broke and on Medicaid. If she kept her $340,000 from selling her house and just rented a nice apartment at $2,000 monthly, she would have spent $264,000 over 11 years and still had $76,000 left. Instead, she spent $605,000 and had nothing. The entrance fee model destroyed her financially. The 90% refundable promise was a lie, the bankruptcy protection didn't exist, and the monthly fees exploded once the new owners realized residents couldn't leave.